Good morning, it's Lisa Bergin coming to you on Tuesday the 28th of February 2023 for my Flosstube update. I've got loads to go through, so I'm just going to crack on with it. So the first project I worked on in February was Queen of the Needle, which was my birthday start this year. This is from Just Nan. I apologise if the lighting isn't very good, it's a very dull day here. Anyway, so that's Queen of the Needle. That's what it should look like when it's finished. And here is where I am now. It's on a pale pink Joblan. So I worked this bit here in these speciality stitches, and I worked on it for 5 hours and I added 434 stitches. So that's that one, Queen of the Needle. My next project is Early Snowfall, which is the Artisy large design, and this month I added 3,827 stitches over 24 hours. And here is where I am now. Hopefully you can see it all. I'm looking through it so I can't quite see how much you're seeing, and the very pale stitches down the bottom there. So closer up, I've finished this sort of page down here, and I've now got this page here to come up so you can see. So I've finished the page right at the bottom, I've now finished this page here. I finished that this morning, that page, I'm going to go back working the diagonal once I've cleared these little bits up. So hopefully by the end of next month I will be able to go back to working in diagonals, which I find when working the diagonal I don't make quite so many mistakes. So hopefully that is what will happen once I've got those little bits finished. So that's that project. The next project I worked on was Anton Uffendow. Anton Uffendow, which I started on my 50th birthday, so it's 4 years ago that I started this project, and I'm trying to get it finished this year. Here is where we currently are, so hopefully you can see where we are. I was working over here on this. I fold it in half and half again. Hang on, let me get there. So I was working in this section this month over here. You can see I've got a hanging thread, and this one I worked on it for 6 hours and added 1,130 stitches. So I'm really pleased with my progress on Anton. The next project I worked on was Holiday Village, and this is a Dimensions Gold kit. It is a Christmas piece really, and this one I worked on for 7.5 hours, adding 856 stitches. And you can see I was working up in this top corner here this time round, and I'm really very happy with how that's coming along. So that's good. That was a Whipco project as well, that one there. And I've hit my target. I only added 7.5 hours this month, but I'd already worked on it in January, and my target was 10 hours. So that's my one Whipco that I've actually achieved target on this month. My next one that I worked on, which is another Whipco, this is Wise Raven, and my goal was to get this lamp done. I didn't quite. I made some good progress. I added 648 stitches in 5.5. Hang on, around the wrong way. I have the wrong way. 648 stitches in 5.5 hours. So looks really quite good on the camera, better than it does in real life. That's good. might be better viewed from a distance. Then the next one I worked on was Christmas Biscornu. This was a Whipco project, and my goal for this is to complete it. Well, I managed to complete the first half, so that's now done. First half, you can't really see the sparkle and beads, but they are there. And I am here on the second half, so this is one I would like to get completed this year if possible. And Christmas Biscornu, I worked on it for 5 hours, adding 589 stitches. Sorry if I keep looking down, I've got all my notes in front of me. I then worked on Bike, and my goal for this was to get the basket done again. I didn't quite manage it. So here's where I got to. The lighting isn't very good. Those browns do show up a bit better than that. I'll bring it a little bit closer, see if you can see better. But yeah, anyway, so that's that one. So I didn't hit the goal on that one, and I worked on that one for 4.5 hours, 646 stitches. Again, that was a whip go. Another whip go project. This one is Alice Sarah Dennis. It is a sampler, reproduction sampler. And I picked this one to do for the International Hermit Stitch Weekend this month. And I worked on it for 5.5 hours, and I added 1154 stitches. So here we are. So I completed Eve, and I put in the deer, and I put in this, and I put it bit there in. So I'm quite happy with the progress I made on Alice Sarah Dennis. And then the final whip go project that I had was Argentine Tango from Heritage Crafts, and I worked on this for 3/4 of an hour and added only 137 stitches. I wasn't really feeling it, to be honest. There we go. And so here we are. So that's where I was, and I worked on the red dress bit. So yeah, so progress is progress, so as we say. So that's all the whip go projects and my full coverage. And then I also did some other bits and pieces, so let's get into those. I then worked on Bedtime Story. So let's get the picture of a bedtime story. Bedtime Story, where are you? Okay, there we are. So I then worked on Bedtime Story. This is what it will look like when it's finished. And this is where I am currently. Please ignore the trailing threads. I'm working in the diagonals. So there we go. That's where I am now. That looks really quite good on yeah, that looks very good on the camera actually. Far better than it looks when I look at it with my own eyes. Yeah, I'm really quite pleased with that. Yeah, so anyway, so as you can see, I'm working on the diagonal, and I find that's very successful. And I added, so I worked on this for 11.25 hours, and I added 1,316 stitches, 1,316 stitches on that one. I then also worked a bit on Flowery Mead, 3/4 of an hour, and I added another 120 stitches on that, so it's coming along. This is another one I'd like to get completed this year. I also worked on this one, which is White House Sunset Bookmark from Michael Powell, and again I did 3/4 of an hour and 126 stitches on this one. That's coming along. And then the final bookmark that I worked on, Duchess Bookmark from Ginger Tom, who no longer exists, excuse me, from Ginger Tom. And I added 40 stitches. So yeah, nothing really to sting home about there, but it's worth something I did. Then, if I don't have enough projects, I have 77. I had 77 whips at the beginning of the year. I now have 80 because I started 3 things. So the next one that I started, another full coverage, because you know me, I like my full coverage. So the next one that I started was, it was a free chart. I think it's on the Facebook. Was it on the? I think it might have been the Facebook group. If it's not the Facebook group, it was one of the monthly free charts from Artisy. And this is the Clerkenwell Flower Sellers. And I'm stitching it on 18 count Ada. And here it is, my minimal start of, I worked on it for an hour and put in 140 stitches. And the only reason I stopped was I'm working in the diagonal and I didn't have one of the colours. For some reason my master floss box was missing a shade, and so it got put away. So that's that one. And then the final full coverage that I worked on, if I can find it. There we are, there he is, another Artisy. And this is, and it's been very popular, and probably seen it if you follow. Rainbow Dragon. This is the original one, not Rainbow Dragon 2, which came out yesterday, which is also stunning, which I also might have to get because I think they're great. Anyway, so this is Rainbow Dragon. I worked on this one for an hour and a half and I did 216 stitches. So there we go. That's where I am on that one. And then my final piece of stitching for the month was one night in bed. I decided to pick out this new Never Dimensions Gold. Like, I need another one on the go, but here we go. I just this was originally going to be my birthday start this year, and then I swapped it out for Just Nan's Queen of the Needle, and I think it's been calling me, so I thought, you know what, hey ho, you know, why not? Anyway, so I started this and I worked on it for 3/4 of an hour. This was late at night in bed with not brilliant light, so I didn't get that much done. All of 60 stitches, but it started. So that's that one. So that is all the stitching that I did this month. I stitched for 80 hours. I did a total of 11,439 stitches, which averages out at 140 stitches an hour, which is okay. I'd like it to be near 150, but 143 is not bad. So that is all of my projects that I've worked on in February. Going forward into March, I am still doing Whip Go, but only nominally, in that my Whip Go board was all my whips, and therefore I intend to work on all my whips this year, which means from going forward, Whip Go's going to get, each project's going to get one day, one evening basically, because I stitch on full coverage in the mornings. So one evening on each project. So I'll show you the projects that are the Whip Go ones, and then I'll just show you what I'm going to be doing in regards to the rest of the time. So, okay. So the first Whip Go project, and these will be spattered throughout the month when I do them. So Japanese Garden, my goal for this was to finish the top left quadrant. Now it's just going to be a case of filling in as much as I can in 2 to 3 hours on the day that I do it. So I still will be working in this area, but it's not going to get completed. But that is where I am, and I've got lots of itty bitty stitches. So if I get 200 in, I'll be happy, to be quite honest. So that's that one. Project number 2 is Snooty Parrots from Barbara Anna Designs. Mine is on a piece of 40 count rosewood Newcastle linen, and here is where I currently am, and my goal was to work down the page. Now I think I'll be quite happy just to get that deer finished, and let me look at the picture, see what else is there that I can do. Yeah, get the deer and the urn. Yes, if I can try, right, so yeah, so get that deer and the urn finished off is what I'm going to aim for, I think, now in my evening stitching. So yeah, it's not going to be nearly as much as I hope, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I come to the conclusion that doing Whip Go as I was, which was basically three days per project, I was never going to finish anything, and I really want some finishes, so I'm going back to rotations essentially, plus the Whip Go pieces at the end of the month, sort of thing. Anyway, on to the next one, and I'll go through that in a minute. Then the next one is, let me just find the picture, is a full coverage, and that is Escape to the Moon, which is a Heaven and Earth. Which is a Heaven and Earth design. This was given out as a freebie by Heaven and Earth one day last year or the year before. Michelle from Heaven and the Earth, she issued a load of freebies one day, and this was one of them. I'm stitching it on, I think it's 18 count, it might be 20 count, but I think it's 18. And this is where I am currently. My goal was to do 1,000 stitches. Now, if I get 3 hours in on it, on the evening that this comes out, I'm aiming for 450, because I can usually do 150 on a full coverage in an hour. So that will be my goal now, 450 on that. So I won't achieve the target. Then we have Consider the have to go the right way. Consider the Lilies from Heartstring Samplery. This one is currently here, and I'm just carrying on working down the design. So I'll carry on bringing the border down. So in fact I probably will just work the border down as far as I can go, probably in the day when that comes out now, just so that I'm and finish off this random thread that I've got going there. So that would be that one. Then we have European Bistro. The target for this was 10 hours, but it's going to probably get a third of that. So, and this one's really nominally started. Top is, well, the needle's there, so I'm saying it's this way around. I've no idea. I'll have to check on the chart before I carry on. But there we go. That's where I am on that one. You know, a minimal start. And then finally, in the what is whip go, would be Parrot Tulips, another Dimensions Gold. This one, my goal originally, before I've changed my plans, was to complete this quadrant. Now I will just try and complete a section in the evening that I'm working on it, to take it to the sort of central point. Yeah, so that's that one. So that is all the whip goes, and that is what I am hoping to do. So my plan is to work on Alice Tong Uffindale for 6. So I'm going back to my old I used to have a rotation where I worked on a sampler, other, so anything that's not a sampler, a lady, or a dimension style thing. So, and I work it in the order sold. just works for me. So sampler for 6 days, and then do a whip go project. Then on to other, which is going to be Queen of the Needle, because although it is I suppose a sampler, really I don't think it is. I don't think it's not, to me it isn't. To me it's more of an other. It's not like one of my big reproduction samplers. It's not what I would call a sampler. So so I'm having it in the other category. My rules, I do what I like. So anyway, so Queen of the Needle was going in the other section. Then in the ladies, the only project you haven't seen yet, I'm bringing out Raven Queen. I haven't yet finished a full-size Mirabilia. I have finished a Nora Corbett. I finished Pansy by Nora Corbett, and I have done a couple of her freebie angels from years ago that used to be on her website. So this is, I started this on September the 16th, 2015. It would be really nice to get it finished this year if I could. And I'm not that far off, really. I am here. So it's really is just the top and the beading that needs to be done. So yeah, so this is going to get 6 days on week 2. Then after that, my next whip go project will be put in. That's week 3, sorry. And then finally, my Dimensions is going to be Holiday Village, because I was working on it anyway as a Christmas project every month. So instead of only giving it 3 days a month, it's now getting 6 days a month. So hopefully come the end of the year, I will be closer to getting it completed. I don't think, even that, I don't think it will be completed. But I'd like to say half done by the end of the year if I'm doing, so 6 times 10 is 60. Yeah, I'd like to say at least half done by the end of the year. That's about 100. If I say 2 hours, I say 2, so 6 times 10 times 2. Yeah, about 120 hours, which, yeah, I would say about half gone. I mean, I'm not quick, and Dimensions do slow me down. They're not as easy to stitch as some. I mean, what I was doing the other day was quite easy because it was a lot of the sky, and so it's lots of half stitch, so that was growing quite quickly. But yeah, it's not always as easy as one would like. Anyway, I've rattled through this. I hope I haven't spoken too quickly. I know some people don't like it when I go you know, all guns. It was just I had so many projects to talk about, and my phone often cuts off at about 30 minutes, and I wanted to get it in while I'm well in that. So anyway, sorry if it's a bit ramshackle and all that, but I wanted to get everyone updated. So I worked on 16 projects, and I stitched every day this month, which is really good. And yeah, I'm very happy that the amount of stitching I've got done. I perhaps should have been focused on things more. And for example, my Whip Go projects would have had 9 hours available to them. The only one that came close was Holiday Village, which got 7.5. So I clearly don't do as much stitching as I once did. So yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, thank you everyone that's watches my videos and comments on my videos. I do really appreciate it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be back next month or next week, because I might, because it takes me so long to put it all together. I mean, this is the video's taken me 20 minutes to film, yet I've spent probably 2.5 hours dragging everything out, getting all my stats up together and all that. So it takes a lot of prep. I might go to weekly, like once I finish the rotation. So for example, so Ann Tong is going to be the first one, and then plus the one Whip Go project. And I might do it that way. So it'll only be 2, possibly 3 projects a week. The final week will be at least 4, because I've got the 2 extra Whip Goes. When the 9 Whip Go comes up, obviously that will alter the situation as well. But talking about 2 projects a week might be a bit easier for me, and I can be less hurried, I suppose is the word for it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you soon. Until then, take care.